know, we are so reliant on the barges coming here almost on a daily basis and bringing us food. And it's not like I want to have a fear-based reaction to this whole thing, but we just take for granted that that food supply is going to keep coming. If something drastic were to happen, an interruption to our food supply here, they say we would run out of food in about 4 days. And so we clearly have an extremely insecure food system here.
This is a very disaster-prone area with live volcanoes, possibility of tsunamis, hurricanes. So having a very resilient agricultural base is important. We believe that ulu is one of those foods that could end hunger in the world, not to mention Hawaii.
One tree is supposed to be able to feed a family of 5 for like 50 years or something.
That's incredible. You start thinking about how many people, just under 200,000, and how many ulu trees that takes. It's really not that many, and it wouldn't be that hard to do. And you know, this island used to be covered with ulu orchards, so we know that it can work here again.
Up until just a few hundred years ago, Hawaii had extensive breadfruit-based agricultural systems all around the state. And one of the best-known systems was the Ulu right here in South Kona. The Ulu was a 10-square-mile contiguous agroforest that produced an estimated 40,000 tons of food per year. Hawaii has the highest per capita rice consumption in the United States at about 100 pounds of rice consumed per person, and pretty much 100% of that is imported, which means 120 million pounds of rice at least is imported into the state each year. On average, ulu trees produce 300 pounds of food a year, and we plant about 50 trees per acre. So if we wanted to increase Hawaii's starch self-sufficiency by 1 million pounds a year, that's just over 65 acres. 65 acres planted in ulu. If we really wanted to address Hawaii's food insecurity, we have the answer right in front of us.
We emphasize breadfruit in this area. Of course, they grew a whole range of other crops along with breadfruit. So for instance, vauke, or paper mulberry, what Hawaiians made their kapa cloth from, maia, tea leaf, ava, noni. All of these crops kind of compose a diverse orchard or a diverse forest of food crops and resource crops. There's a very well-known phenomenon in ecology that diversity essentially equals resilience. The more plants and animals and insects you have in a system, the better it can deal with severe impact, like a hurricane or a drought, because things can feed off each other. Some things die, other things survive, and this concept of diversity is critical in sustainability.
Food security and food sovereignty are two terms that get thrown around a lot. As far as food security goes, just being able to feed ourselves. As far as sovereignty goes, that would be more of what are we deciding we're going to plant, rather than, let's say, allowing other companies to come in and plant whatever they want, like pretty much we've done the last 200 years in Hawaii.
I think ulu is a really important crop because it's so easy. So it's easy to grow. It's easy to grow organically. It's not just a recent introduction, superfood, monetized crop. It has a robust culture here in Hawaii. There's so many stories of ulu. There's a story that Ku basically gave his life and was planted, and an ulu tree came up because of famine. That's a pretty big thing to do, to give up your life. And it's the ulu tree that grew from that.
Really, all island cultures, and the Hawaiian culture in particular, have a lot to offer the world now in terms of sustainability. And that's because island cultures were worlds amongst themselves. And so I think there was a lot of cultural evolution, a lot of lessons that were learned on islands that are critical now for understanding how do we manage our planet and how do we do that in a way that can perpetuate ourselves into the future.